So good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to you all. Coming from Johannesburg here, we have Stuart joining us from Dublin. So welcome to the latest webinar series from BISA. I'll give a quick BISA before what we're going to try and achieve over the next few weeks, and tonight especially, obviously. So I'm John Green, a lot of you know me. I'm the chairman of the Johannesburg chapter of BISA, the Irish Business Networking Association here in Johannesburg, and we are running a series of webinars tonight in hope to try and help people and their businesses. So as you've seen with BISA over the last few weeks, or last few months rather, we've focused a lot on the economy and what's happening as a response to the COVID-19 crisis, etc. So now we want to take some positive action, and we want to help all of our members improve their profiles, both figuratively and literally, and help them get new opportunities, create them, get people finding them, helping their businesses in that way. So the webinar series then is going to be 3 parts. It's going to be every 2 weeks. So this is obviously the first one with LinkedIn. Next one is going to be on the 17th of September, and that is going to be with Google. So we're going to go into Google Ads and Google Business, and also a masterclass from our very own David Delaney on search engine optimization. So you'll find out all about that. And then in part 3, we will finish off the series with a networking masterclass with our very own Mark Peters as well, who's our networking expert. So there'll be a masterclass on how to network, and then we'll have an opportunity to actually meet some new people and do some networking on the actual webinar. So this one is obviously, you all dialed in for free on this one. The next 2 are going to be exclusive to members. So you might have seen we launched the membership option for BISA lately, and for the next 2 webinars, it's exclusively for members. So sign up on businessireland.co.za, and you can have exclusive access to the Google webinar and the networking masterclass. So tonight we want to make it quite interactive. So it's going to be a bit different to the usual. It's going to be a bit more laid back. We're going to just chat a little bit. Stuart's going to go through some content. So I'll give you a little example of what he's going to do and take a little through the format after that. But first of all, we want to encourage people to ask questions. So we'd like you to do it either through the chat or ideally if you can actually come in yourself and ask your question on video. So switch on your videos, raise a hand, use the button on Zoom to say hi, give a question as we're going through, and we'll try and make it as interactive as possible. So today, we're going to explore how to use LinkedIn and why. So Stuart, who has joined us from sunny Dublin, I'm sure there, 6:30 there. And we're very grateful to have him here joining us. We're actually extremely lucky to have such an unbelievable expert joining us. So welcome, Stuart. And do you want to give us a little bit of a background about yourself, and then let's see what you've got to add.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to talk to your community, and thank you for everybody who's joining us. Just testing on sound. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
100%.
Excellent. Yeah? Well, I'm hoping everyone's got questions. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, proudly from Zimbabwe. I moved to Ireland about 2 years ago. I've always been in the IT sector and always been focused around human resources. My role is to make the working world a better place by working with one HR director at a time. More recently, I've been promoted within LinkedIn to look after what we call the Graduate Activation Program for Africa, which means I get to work with universities, with students, with alumni and students to try and help them find new economic opportunities by leveraging LinkedIn. So I'm hoping today to share my personal insights, to share with you my personal story, to share with you how you can rock your profile and rock your business and go out there and make impact on this platform.
That sounds brilliant, Stuart. I love your energy. It's so cool to actually have some exciting webinar going on rather than people just reading stuff. So with that in mind, then let's get kicked off on what. Do you want to just tell us what is LinkedIn for the people maybe who don't even know? Hopefully everyone does know, but like, what is it and how can we actually use it?
Oh, wow. I don't even want to get into it. It'll steal the thunder of the flow that I've got. but really LinkedIn, I look at it as a platform where you can tell your story. So if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're a startup, or if you're a founder, or you're a business that's currently struggling and you're looking to thrive and survive, LinkedIn is a professional platform where you can get access to people that can give you economic opportunities. Not just jobs, not just purchase orders, not just contracts, but people will give you access to information about their organizations, give you access and insights into problems that you can help solve for. LinkedIn is so much more than just jobs. And I hope through this session, I can help you tell the story of you as an individual and tell the story of your organization and the impact that you're trying to bring.
Awesome. Great. So let's kick off your flow.
Yeah, let's go on with it, right? It's going to be a fun session. My name is Stuart Samkangi. Like I said, I typically run a session called Rock Your Profile, and it's always high energy. I love it because it's so closely aligned to what I want to do and what I aspire to achieve in my life, which is about helping people. It sounds a bit awkward, but I come from a small village that has less than 500 people in Zimbabwe. And through the power of using things like LinkedIn and social media, I've had a flourishing career working for some of the largest organizations in the world. Microsoft, IBM, LinkedIn, Oracle, SAP. It's been amazing and I'm grateful to God. And in returning that favor or returning the blessings that I've received, I use platforms like LinkedIn to help people like yourself. So I hope you're tuned in today to ask questions and, if anything, to learn from my story in terms of how LinkedIn has helped transform my life for myself and also for my family and the customers that I've been working with who have seen great success from leveraging LinkedIn. So I hope you're tuned in, and if you've got questions, throw them into the chat so you don't forget. And when we take a bit of a break, we'll jump right into your and branding your organizations. I purposefully today chose to dress the way I am dressed today because I want to be memorable. I know you're watching a lot of webinars, a lot of seminars, a lot of online interaction, and most of them tend to be the same. A person sitting in a chair talking to a PowerPoint presentation. Well, today it's going to be different. It's going to be a double whammy. Double whammy in that I will speak based on my experience and my story and my understanding, but I'll have slides that will speak to some of those points in a totally different manner. So it's a recorded session. So you will listen to what I'll say, you will ask questions, and we'll both learn from this interaction. But later on, I encourage you to watch a replay of this so that you can go back to the slides and the information that I'll share, which is priceless if you're looking to transform your business. In talking about business and talking about you as a brand, I wanted to introduce you to my father. Gotcha. Not actually my father, but I believe my father has a little bit of Jeff Bezos in him besides the billions. Why? Because Jeff Bezos says your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. My father, like Jeff Bezos, started in the book business. He's an inspiration to me, and I make reference to him. As I said, I want to make this personal. My father, like myself, was born in that village with less than 500 people. Out from that area, he then became an entrepreneur and started up a book chain called Times Bookshop. And his tagline was, "We get there." Well, if you think about Amazon, not too far off. Because his value proposition was, no matter where you are as a school, a university, an institution, he will get to you and you will get your product. And some of the innovation I witnessed firsthand was them delivering books using donkeys and using carts and getting books over to a school through flooded rivers and bridges. With that determination, I learned a lot about business and customer service. And I watched him grow from being a bookseller, being a CEO, to being a business leader for a South African organization, and finally leading up Zimbabwe's International Book Fair, the largest book fair in Southern Africa outside of South Africa. And from that environment, again, I watched him how he nurtured relationships across Africa, to continue to grow the need for us to learn, to educate, to share, and to engage through academic studies and through books. Like I said, there was a bit of a Jeff Bezos person stuck in him, but there's something in him that makes him exceptional. He's my go-to guy, my number one go-to guy for any advice. I want to be your number one go-to guy for any advice regarding how you build your business on LinkedIn. I intend on doing that today by telling you a little bit more about what LinkedIn is and how you can leverage it. First of all, it's a huge platform and it continues to grow at a phenomenal rate. With well over 690 million members on the platform, that means if you're an entrepreneur, a startup, or if you're an owner or a founder, you cannot afford to ignore social media. Yes, I appreciate you're busy. I appreciate there's so much more going on that you as a business leader need to take care of beyond now looking after another social channel to engage your clients. But you cannot afford to not have a presence, and particularly a presence on LinkedIn, which is a network especially for professionals. A network that grows 3 members every single second. So how are you reaching your targeted audience on this growing platform? How are you sharing thought leadership? How are you telling the story of who you are as an organization, what you stand for, what you aim to bring to the communities you serve, and more importantly, what are the problems you are solving for? Are you helping increase efficiency? Are you helping reduce the cost of doing business? Are you increasing revenue flows for your stakeholders, for your partners? Are you creating employment? Are you looking to market? Are you looking to sell? I say to you right now, up front, as we get started, first know thyself. What is it you want to achieve on the platform? Because I'll tell you something, likes does not equal success. It's a professional platform. We're looking for outcomes that will drive our business, that will help us get closer to our customers, that will help us understand the problems that we can go in and address. Within LinkedIn, in my day-to-day capacity, it is my role to help companies that engage with LinkedIn to find people like yourself, service providers, candidates, partners, stakeholders. It is my role within LinkedIn to help those organizations gain access to new economic opportunities by networking with professionals like yourself. And I do this effectively by leveraging the data that is available to us on the LinkedIn platform. Data that's also available to us on the LinkedIn platform comes from other schools of thought. Right now, I make reference to a study that we did as LinkedIn to try and understand what is happening with the future of work. This is important for you to understand as you shape your narrative, as you shape your message, as you shape your personal story in light of what your audience is going through, in light of when your audience expects to return to work, in light of your audience whose opinions are fluctuating by the minute, from being pessimistic to optimistic, to sitting on the fence. How are you as a business ensuring that you have agility to meet your customers at the point of their need? At LinkedIn, we have the pleasure and the luxury of working with many organizations. And when you partner with us on a commercial basis, one of the things we share with you is best practices that we glean and amortize from global leaders. So if you're a business director right now with all that's going on, what is the voice that you should have? What should you be communicating with your stakeholders? What should you be communicating with your employees? How should you be leading? Should you be talking about the health pandemic? Or should you not, for you're not a subject matter expert? How should you be telling the corporate social responsibility you are taking to ensure that your employees are safe, your stakeholders are safe, your business processes are changing to adapt to the environment? It doesn't take a lot of money. It does take, though, a lot of effort and time and concentration and commitment. That commitment should drive you to a level of consistency, because social media is a marathon, it is not a sprint. I'm going to stop right there just to make sure we're still connected and that those who have joined us can take a moment to grab a drink of water as I check in with my hosts if we're good to carry on.
Thanks, Stuart. Yeah, we're all good. We can definitely hear you loud and clear.
Loving it, Stuart. Loving the energy.
My dad says I have way too much energy and I'm way too loud. And speaking of which, I wanted, because I know he's going to be watching. Hi, Dad, if you managed to log in here. Here we go, right? I did say I was going to share best practices based on my personal learning. My dad was one of the first people to go and customize his vehicle to suit his business. I told you the tagline for his little bookshop, well, not little, it became a bookshop chain, was that we get there. And that they delivered on donkeys, on motorbikes, on bicycles. They delivered with what was available. The learning I have from that is that as you look to go into the world of social media, and you watch those who have gone before you, those who have made investments in lights, cameras, microphones, fancy subtitles, tools, and technology, don't stress. Work with what you got, not what you, whoa! I'm so passionate about this. My kids will tell you, I talk about this all the time. Work with what you got, not what you wish you had. Do work. Use your mobile phone. Use the tools that are available on LinkedIn and are coming in at no cost that you can leverage to start getting your business message out there. We'll talk about you joining groups. We'll talk about you using hashtags. We'll talk about you posting as an individual. All of that does not cost you any money. It does not cost you to invest. What it does cost you, as I said, is your time, your effort, and that consistency. We need to do great work. And as we do that work, we need to tell the story. Because LinkedIn is the platform where we can talk to like-minded professionals in our industry or who are looking for people like us. Tell a story. Engage the human being. We often hear about digital transformation. I'm all for human-to-human transformation, communication, collaboration. I'm all for all of us leveraging each other. That's why the power of networking goes without saying. This very session would not have happened if they had not reached out to me on LinkedIn, if they had not observed the work I've done before, if they had not connected and seen that our purposes are aligned and that we can come together, having never met in the real world, and service and support a community such as yourself. I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions at this stage.
Thanks, Stuart. It's actually a good time to answer this question. So from Darren Gillen, who is in Nairobi, he's wondering, for people who are not very IT literate, what help is there out there for people like him who don't really understand how LinkedIn works?
There's a lot of help. I have a YouTube channel. I'm not here to punt it today, but videos like this, which we are recording, I make them available on my YouTube channel so that if you're not IT savvy, if you're a transitioning professional, if you're a recent graduate or alumni or a young professional or someone looking to change career, I have tips that I have shared on my YouTube channel and I'm sharing in a session like today. All it takes for you is the ability to read. The ability to read and to go back to that comprehension class we all had in school. My kids recently returned to school and I could have put money on it. The first thing they were asked to do is write an assignment of what you did during your school break. Okay, it was 6 months. It was more than a school break. Our comprehension skills are important. So as we write out and build out our own personal profiles, what story are we telling? And if it is a story, then we don't need much technical skills. The only time I've seen you need technical skills is in articulating your experience, your passion, your purpose, your skills, your learning by using the words that you find in the job description, the words that are related to your industry. That's the only technicality. But if you can read and write and you've got a mobile phone, you can create a LinkedIn account and get started. I'm going to walk through why it's important that success begins with you as an individual. Because no matter how you define it for your organization, eventually people will want to understand who leads the company, who markets for the company, who sells for the company. What is it you're trying to help us fix? So the critical things for you to have on your LinkedIn profile, here we go. Number one, images. The human mind processes images 60,000 times faster than text. So if I put up an image in a graphic, as you're seeing here, of our chairman, you will notice immediately his photograph, his face, the cheerful, warm, welcoming smile. You will notice the background image that he has got. That is expensive real estate. And that's real estate for you as an entrepreneur, for you as a business leader, for you as a marketer, for you as a salesperson, a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse. Use images to engage the human mind. My image on my LinkedIn profile, as you've seen, is black and white. I purposefully chose that because I know we all see color. And when I want you to recommend me to come and talk to your HR director, you might not remember my name, but you definitely remember the guy who posts frequently and has a black and white photograph. So as you scroll through that content and try and make reference and connect me up, I want you to first look out for the black and white photograph for the guy with the cheerful smile. Today, I purposefully chose to wear this Irish hat. It's called the Dubliner. I purposely chose to wear it because I want you to remember this interaction. I could have worn a business shirt and tie that's plain, and you wouldn't have remembered this discussion. But what I want is next time when you're thinking about your LinkedIn profile, I want you to associate that image with this content. And beyond the content, the substance that I want you to remember is that images are important. Putting in your location details so that when people are looking for you or looking to give business or are looking to hire, they can find you within the jurisdiction that you say you're in. So get your location right. I've seen people put locations of where they aspire to work or locations of where they aspire to do business. Right now, we're talking to communities that want to do business in South Africa. Location details correctly. How are those opportunities going to find you? Let's put in the right details, folks. Let's also build out a summary that tells our story. Welcome people to your profile. Who are you? What do you do? What do you stand for? What results and impact have you had? And more importantly, what is the call to action? What are you looking to get out of being on LinkedIn? Who are you looking to connect with? What kind of problems do you want to help solve for? What kind of professionals do you want to network with? You can bring this to life by adding images and videos as you describe your work experience. You're an entrepreneur. You meet people all the time. They say, who are you? What do you do? And instead of struggling for words to explain what your organization does, in your LinkedIn profile, which is on your mobile phone, which I know you carry with you everywhere, you can now start showing them videos, pictures, images, or even a small PDF, an infographic that explains what your organization does, a customer reference story, a prototype, a design, a sample. Come on, folks. What could be the best business tool out there that you have with you 24 hours a day, every time you interact with people? And of course, we mean this safely and with social distancing. And what's more, when people look you up, they will get a full view of what your brand stands for. And you don't even have to be there. Your brand will speak for you even if you're not in the room. I'll pause there for questions.
So a couple of questions. So if you're able to work remotely, how should that be reflected on your profile?
Well,
also, yeah.
Let me tackle that one. For remote work, we understand the world of work is changing. One of the things we allow you to do is go into your job settings, and once in your job settings, you can notify recruiters by putting in a small note. You can notify recruiters if you're looking for full-time, volunteer, part-time, remote work. You can also inform recruiters if you're actively looking or you're just passively looking. Again, you can inform recruiters of the job titles, the locations you want to work in. So you can tell your story confidently and professionally. You do not have to put in your headline that you're open for opportunities or you're aggressively looking for a job. Don't be thirsty now. There are settings within LinkedIn that allow you to articulate this professionally. So even if you are a job owner, but you are in the market for a job, you can go into your career settings and also your job settings and set up alerts for jobs. Set up alerts for freelance work as you run your business. I talked about doing work. Continue to do work even if you're transitioning, even if you're setting up your company, even if your company is struggling right now. Continue to show the work that you do, the quality of the work that you do, the impact that you bring, and show this on your LinkedIn profile. There was a second part to this question.
No, that was it. I was just going to mention that also Aidan Casserly messaged me and said that he's pumped just listening to you. So I can hear him busily typing up his profile already. So that's great news.
Awesome, awesome. Like I said, guys, there's a lot to share. I know there's stuff that you want to jump in and do, but I'd rather you focus, or I'd rather you ask me questions and I tackle it. You come back to the stream, you watch it again, and you look at the slides, because I'm skipping a whole lot of stuff off the slides here because I want to talk to you. I want to have a human-to-human interaction. But as we have our human-to-human interaction, we must have structure. And structure is that we're 30 minutes into this already, and I've got a lot to cover. So here we go. What else should be on your LinkedIn profile? Make sure that your university or your whoopsie daisy. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Excuse me. Right. Make sure that your institution, your academic institution, is correctly profiled with your name. What do I mean? Go into your profile, go into your education settings, start typing the name of your university. For example, you went to University of Pretoria. Start typing University of PRE. Let LinkedIn bring up the rest of the suggestions of any university that has the name PRE. Once you see University of Pretoria, click to accept that, and it'll be associated with your profile. This is important, folks. As a business owner, you want to leverage your school alumni to find out who can give you informational interviews, who can give you access to what problems the organizations are having. You want your alumni as well to look you up when they need services. So make sure that you're correctly associated with your university. And how you can tell is if your school or your university does not show a logo on it. It's one of two things. You typed in the name incorrectly, maybe they refer to themselves differently, or they don't have a page and you need to get on that case. Number 7, endorsements. The way LinkedIn works is that you tell us what skills you have and the people who know you go in and endorse you. When they endorse you, they're telling recruiters, hiring managers, partners, stakeholders, they're telling the world that you have the skill that you say you have. So endorsements can only come from our first degree connections, which means it's important for you to develop your first degree network of connections. It's important as well for you to reciprocate, for you to go on and endorse the people that have helped shape who you are. Because that tells the algorithms, that tells us to understand your profile based on not only your sentiment, but those who know you. And of even greater importance is recommendations. Recommendations could be from your school professor, your high school lecturer. These could even be from your former workmates, your employees, your former leaders. Your clients can give you a recommendation. And they can classify these recommendations by how they know you. This reduces the amount of time and questions people will spend with you trying to qualify whether they should give you business or not. So by leveraging recommendations, you are helping them get closer to making a decision that's in your positive favor. Recommendations will outline how that person knows you and what you delivered. And what you can do with recommendation here is that you can proactively go and seek them. There's no harm in that. It's self-promotion, I know, but this helps tell your story. You're a business. You want your brand to speak for you. So look at your customer base. Who have you delivered exceptional service for? With tangible results. With results that will mean something to someone else. Reach out to them and say, listen, I know we did that project 2 years ago. You said I did a phenomenal job. Why don't you write me a brief recommendation on how I saved you budget, how we brought the project in on time, what I did over and beyond the scope of the project to deliver it. Do the same for your stakeholders. Do the same for your customers. It's a professional platform. Be kind. Let's share. Each one teach one. This is the only way we can grow our credibility on the platform. But let us keep it authentic. And by keeping it authentic as a business owner, one of the things that you can help to tell your story is the things that you like, the things that are called your interests, the organizations you follow, the influences that you follow. These help tell a story of what shapes your thinking, what shapes your attitude, what shapes the types of companies you want to work with. So if your organization is all about technology or fashion or agriculture, and I don't see you following those types of companies, I don't see you following industry leaders, I don't see you following thought leaders, where's the credibility in that? Our LinkedIn profiles are not static. It is not a resume. It is a digital billboard for the story that is you. So if it is a digital billboard, then it should be dynamic. It should be alive. It should be colorful. It should be using videos, images, text, everything. I'll stop there for questions.
Thanks, Stuart. I'm going to jump in here. I'm hanging on your every word. I'm loving it, and I think I speak for everybody. We could listen to you all night over a couple of pints. But just to jump into LinkedIn, I work in digital marketing, and I'm quite sick of most of the platforms, but what really stands out for me is with LinkedIn is the positive and motivational narrative that runs through. There's no space for hate. There's no space for fake news or nonsense, but more so really to connect with subject matter experts that you really want to connect to. I think LinkedIn as a B2B platform really gets you straight to the heart of who you want to hear from and who you potentially want to connect to. Well, I just want to touch on, I guess, the elephant in the room. I guess possibly maybe it's LinkedIn's one weakness, and that's the unsolicited messages that you often get through in-mail advertising. So obviously, it's an offer that you offer your clients through advertising. But rather than, I guess, dwell on how do I avoid it, rather just flip it in terms of myself working now on campaign manager. What do you recommend is the best method, I guess, to try and approach a prospective client or your dream client through advertising without, spamming them with unsolicited messages? What you recommend is obviously changes, but what you recommend would be good for someone doing their first ads.
Yeah, I think advertising is just one of the ways that we can reach out. Again, we have the ability to send emails, as you correctly pointed out. Targeted advertising is one of the greatest things on LinkedIn, because you as a business leader, as much as there's 690 million people on the platform, 8 million of those are South Africans and many more in our island, as much as there is that big audience, you want to make sure your message is reaching your target audience that is looking for your solution. So when you're looking to advertise on LinkedIn, there's several options. You can have images, you can have GIFs, you can have carousel images, you can have video, you can have articles. It just needs to be authentic. The way you communicate with your audience depends on what product you're selling and what time you're posting and how you're engaging. I'll give you a classic example. I will post a lot of content on LinkedIn, and that's how maybe I got the job here. Well, when I post content on LinkedIn, I'm always mindful of what is my audience doing right now? Are they commuting to work? Are they having breakfast? Are they watching Champions League football? And tonight, I know that the ladies, or maybe even the guys, some of them are not watching, and that I can actually post in. Is it Sunday afternoon just after church, and people who are nursing a hangover or people who are just waking up on a Sunday late afternoon are getting onto their platform? You need to be mindful of what your audience is on right now. And you don't need to sell. You need to work on a rule of thirds. It should be a third about you, a third about your company, and a third about the impact and the things that you can do to help other people. So you need to have your content ultimately educate and empower and engage your audience before you start selling. The mistake most of us make is we write up to people, and the first thing after connecting, we're trying to sell. Don't sell. It is the era of social selling, but don't sell. Earn the right. 5 interactions. Interact with my content. Check out what I've posted. Check out my other feeds on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. Check out my other platforms before you come and ask me for what's obvious. Because when you ask me for a job and say, what jobs are at LinkedIn? I realize you haven't done any research, and I say, why am I even giving you the time and day? So do the research and then engage your audience where you can show that you can bring value, you can help, you can help your person fix something. Then you've got a right to sell. But don't sell, guys.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stuart.
I'll talk about selling in a little bit more detail at the end of this about Sales Navigator. If anything, if you need to leave right now, here's my pro tip for you. If you're a business owner or you're a salesperson and you've never heard of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you need to get it. That's my one and only commercial break as we carry on. So we've got a little bit of time, so I just want to catch up in terms of the narrative. As I said, I've talked about you as an individual and where you fit into this whole narrative that is called LinkedIn. But I wanted to talk about how you create your company's presence on LinkedIn and why it's important. It's important that you create your company's presence on LinkedIn because business is digital. It's no longer about cold calling. It's no longer about calling reception and being asked and asking to be put through to a phone extension, because phone extensions don't exist. It's about reaching your customers and personalizing the messages. And when you do this, the data tells us that it works. The data tells us that LinkedIn is a trusted platform. It's trusted because, unlike other platforms, we have to use our real names. And by using our real names, people who know us, people who went to school with us, people who have done business with us will attest to the things we say, and we'll call out things if we're lying. So it's a trusted platform. And that being said, as a trusted platform, the engagement levels are much higher. Look at this time as we're going through this health pandemic. Where are you getting most of your content, even about COVID, even about the work of the future, even about companies reinvesting? You're getting it on LinkedIn. So it is a trusted platform where if you continuously and consistently share your voice and build up your audience, you will start seeing results in terms of traction that's related to business results that you want to achieve. And it starts with you completing your company page on LinkedIn. If you create a company page on LinkedIn and you are the administrator, you are more likely to receive up to 30% more traffic if it is a completion of your page. Wow, couldn't find another word there. So what do we need to have? What do we need to have in order to complete our company page? Forgive me. Let us have our logos. Let us have our overview. Let us have our location, the cities we're based. And here's something new. You can even put your tagline. Remember, I talked about my dad's business. We get there. His tagline could have been there on his LinkedIn profile. Put it in because it will speak to your customers. And again, when you are thinking about creating your LinkedIn profile, I asked you to have your customer in mind in terms of, if I'm writing this about my business, how do I want my customer of the future, not so much my existing, my customer of the future to understand what my company does? How do I want a hiring manager to think of me? How do I want my stakeholders to think of the value, the integrity, the culture that we have as an organization? Go in and make sure that your industry is put in correctly. When you set up your company profile, understand that when you set up this page, up to 300,000 searches are done every week based on industry. You are missing. And what's more, make sure you've identified what your company type is. Now, all of that is not technical. All of that is stuff that you know. So there is no need to say, I don't have the technical aptitude to build out my LinkedIn company page. What's important, like I said earlier on, is for you to have a call to action that drives your customer to do something. So what is it that you want your customers to do as a specific call to action? Do you put in the URL and guide your customers from this page that you've created to your full website that you have invested time and effort to build out? And when you have done that, understand that LinkedIn knows you're mobile. We know you're not always sitting behind a laptop, a desktop. So you can edit your pages on mobile devices. And the beauty with doing this is that as you build it, you get a first-hand experience of how 90% of your clients are going to experience your page. They're going to experience it from a mobile device. I'll stop there for any questions.
Cool, there's some great questions come in. So the first one is, what are the pros and cons of having your connections visible in the headline section? So from John Murphy saying in bright blue as opposed to not visible.
Okay, so on connections, LinkedIn is not a popularity contest, and I hope I understood this correctly. Hi, John. John took me photographs. If it is the same John Murphy who does headshots. So in terms of your connections, LinkedIn is not a popularity contest. So we always say, and you'll always see it, that this person has plus 500, a maximum plus 500 connections. This is to discourage people from making random connections. You should be connecting with people that you know, people that you aspire to work with, and people that you want to learn from. And you don't always have to connect. You can have these people as people you follow. You'll still see their content when they post it. So don't badger people to connect to you. If you're going to connect to people, connect by giving them a reason of why you want to connect. What value will you bring? What are you looking to learn? How you've interacted with my content, how we're in the same industry. So when you reach out to connect, give people a reason to connect. And if you don't have a reason, follow them. And if you are following people, or people are following you that you believe are not helping your feed on LinkedIn, because here's a secret and here's a reality. The people you follow ultimately will determine what you see on your LinkedIn profile. So if you're following people that are sharing messages that are not as useful or not related to what business or area you're in, then unfollow. It's okay, they won't know. Follow people that are associated with your industry. Few things done well is probably the best advice to do with that. Next, I want to talk about engaging amazing content. Content that allows people to thumb stop. They say the average person scrolls through a mile of content every day. All of us on mobile devices scrolling through, and we stop when we see an image that grabs our attention. We stop when we see people we know. We stop when we have to burp, sorry. We stop when we see content that speaks to us, when we see a narrative, when we see a story, when we see something that's non-commercial, something that helps me, something that speaks to my industry. And like I said, be smart about when you're posting. What is your audience doing? Test it out multiple times and find out when you get the best content reach, when you get the most engagement. And again, as you post out your content, like I said, aim for engagement. You want people to have a discussion. Don't be the subject matter expert. As you post, as a company, here's my top 5 tips on how to save you money in manufacturing. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th one, leave it to your audience. Leave it to your audience to give you insights. LinkedIn is a reciprocal environment. So encourage engagement, encourage conversations, because by doing that, you grow other people. You turn to shine the light on other people. You again learn as an organization, and you refine how you go to market. We got best practices here on some of the messaging and the things that you can do if you're looking to build out your thought leadership by writing articles. Another pro tip here is that as you build out your content, as you refine your audience, as you become more granular in what you're solving for, you can use filters on LinkedIn that will let you understand industries, hashtags that are working, groups that you can join and participate in conversations. And as I said, when you join these groups, don't go in to sell, go in to listen. Social media is like the human body. 2 ears, 1 mouth. I know I've been talking a lot. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Social media first is for you to listen. What are your customers saying? What are your employees saying? What are your competitors saying? Stakeholders, government, customers, citizens, whoever you deal with, what are they saying? And when you've understood that, how do you communicate with them? What's the tone? What's the culture? What's the images? What are the messages that you are putting out there that help make them more productive, that help make them more successful? What are the things you are doing as an organization to learn the skills that are in demand? To learn the problems they want you to solve for? To learn how your customers define success? 2 ears, 1 mouth. In terms of LinkedIn, you want to amplify your content. Use your employees to amplify your content. Use your friends, your family, your friends, the people that are on your network to amplify your messages. They can reshare the content that you're posting. When I look at LinkedIn, like I said, I don't look at likes. Yes, they're great. Thank you for those who like the content that I share. I appreciate it. But for those of you who reshare it, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because when you reshare content, you're giving me access to your networks. You carry my company's voice into your networks and your reach. I appreciate that. Use your employees to expand on reach. I want to hurry up in terms of time so I can just anchor all of our questions towards the end. So if you'll just humor me as I just tie up the final messages around this. In terms of messaging and in terms of posting content that is engaging, entertaining, that is empowering, that is enriching, you must use rich media. Video, subtitles will let you have access to communities that don't even speak your language, to communities that don't use your business language, to communities that are hard of hearing, that are deaf, to communities in global environments that are working in offices or working in noisy environments, riding the bus and cannot listen to your voice, but they can read the subtitles. So use videos with subtitles. Use images that highlight the positive things you're doing for your employees or things that your employees are doing. Use LinkedIn to celebrate your employees, your customers. Use LinkedIn with images to highlight some of the content that you've seen work on other platforms. Yes, we know you have a Facebook presence, you have a YouTube presence, you have a Twitter presence. That's all well and good. But if those are working in those environments, maybe try and repurpose that on LinkedIn and drive a new type of engagement. And as you do that, as you build out video content, I've got some pro tips for you. So like I said, first of all, keep it casual. First of all, keep it short, because as we said, people have a lot to deal with. The average or the maximum for a video should be about 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I reckon if you go to 3 minutes, you're pushing it. Like I said, use subtitles and have a strong opening, because decisions are made in a heartbeat. So you want to make sure that as they start off by listening or watching, there's a subtitle that talks about the problem you're going to solve and how you can help solve for it. And again, if you see conversations that are taking place with your customers and suppliers and stakeholders, highlight those conversations on your threads. Take 2 images, put them together, and start a compelling conversation. And as I said, let other people share their point of view. Don't have to be the subject matter expert. You don't have to be a know-it-all. Let other people share with you. Accept other people's point of view. And use tags, like putting in an @ sign and tagging the person you're quoting. So if it is Bill Gates you're quoting, @Bill Gates, and it'll bring up Bill Gates' name. That allows people to see that you're authentically sharing something that is not your original content, and that you're giving credit to the person where you got that content from. If you don't tell your story, the audience and the world will create a story about your brand. So what story do you want them to be thinking about, to be feeling, to be hearing, to be understanding about you and your organization? So, are there any questions, or may I rapidly go through the last 8 minutes and try and cover probably 10 minutes content in 8 minutes?
There are 2 questions. Maybe John Murphy is showing his face and he's wants to ask a quick question.
We got a different John Murphy. Hello, John.
Yeah, hi, Stuart. Thanks very much for your comments and for sharing your knowledge with us this evening. Yeah, just a comment first. One, I think your point about having to invest time to get the best out of LinkedIn is absolutely right. And I know very well that I personally have not invested nearly enough time to get even some basic benefits that I know are there out. And I'm sure a lot of us are the same. So I think that's probably one takeaway that we all should take. Work out what's most important for you and invest some time, you know, to get your photograph right, for example. even that takes some time. And for some of us, it will always remain an impossibility. But regardless, I wanted to go back to that question I posed earlier on. I understand your comments about making connections and connecting with the right people. That really wasn't my question. Some people have their connections, like let's say it says 500 connections. It's highlighted in blue. That means you can click on it and you can see who their connections are. A lot of other people don't have that highlighted, and you can't see who their connections are.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to change that myself, as an example.
Nice one, John. We can go into your privacy settings, and I always encourage people, LinkedIn is a beautiful car. It's a Porsche, it's Lamborghini, it's a Range, it's whatever it is that you define as a beautiful car. You need to go into the settings first. Just before you drive a beautiful car, you will set up the radio, the seats, the wing mirrors, the everything to make it comfortable. And a lot of us don't go in and look at our settings. So you can hide certain pieces of information on your LinkedIn profile from other people viewing. You can hide even your photograph. We do this to protect you as members, because what we want is for you to have a good experience, because it's all about you as members first. And in terms of growing your network, I think I show my network connections because people who know people will know other people. So I have nothing to hide. As long as my audience wants their profiles to be shared, I highlight it, and I know that it's helped me in the past find access to people who can give me warm introductions. And that's what you want as an entrepreneur, to know that I know someone who knows someone else, and then I can reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I noticed you're connected to this person. Do you know them intimately? Can you introduce me? All I'm looking for is not to sell, but to do an informational interview to understand what are the challenges they are having. And what's more, as an organization, when I talked about building your network and understanding your audience, I've just shown here what you can go and look at from an analytics perspectives in terms of the people who follow your organizations, the people who you can call subscribers, or the people who are visitors to your website, so that you, or sorry, to your LinkedIn site, so that you can understand how to shape your message. So you can understand if you're reaching the right people. You can understand how often you're reaching them. You can understand if they're coming through mobile devices or if they're coming through desktop, so that you can shape your images, your videos accordingly. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Super. Let me just carry on so that we cover the remaining parts of this. Is that, first of all, you've got to, as I said, try and build your network by leveraging the free things that are available on LinkedIn. This is not a sales pitch. I'm telling you what you can do for free if you administer your page from a LinkedIn perspective. So you can go in and start administering things like hashtags. Hashtags are important. We live in a digital world. So what can you do with hashtags? There's certain hashtags that you can choose to follow as an individual or as an organization, because they speak to the content and the things that you care about. Hashtags are important even when you post, because when people search on LinkedIn, they search by hashtag. So when you post and you say hashtag Africa, hashtag jobs, hashtag HR, when people search by any one of those hashtags, your content comes up. I have a personal hashtag called It's Time to Shine. If you're looking for content after this session on anything I've spoken about, on anything to do with startups, entrepreneurs, students, jobs, HR, anything to do with work of the future, you search on hashtag It's Time to Shine. It's a hashtag I personally curate. You can do the same for your business, so that when your customers are trying to understand what you stand for or what it is that your business does, you can point them to a hashtag and they can find you independently. I recommend you use up to 5 hashtags or less, so that it becomes niche and that you're found around the areas that you know and the things that you are most enthusiastic and passionate about. Encourage your employees to share your content, and again, for them to use hashtags. And if you're not taking care of your customers, guess what? Your competitors are doing that. Those that you know in your network, you can invite them to follow your company's pages on LinkedIn. So you can go in and ask your followers to follow your company's particular page, so that you get more people following your page, and that every time you post a job, every time you post a sales pitch, a marketing message, or a CSR message, whatever it is you post, those people who follow you will get access to that content. So make sure that you're using those hashtags. Make sure that you're engaging people where it matters. Like I said earlier on, I said I wasn't going to cover it because there isn't enough time. But if there's anything I'd recommend for you as a business owner, for you as a marketer, salesperson, for you who's looking to transition and run your own business, get your hands on Sales Navigator. It's a superpower for business owners on LinkedIn. I'm not going to go into it. I encourage you. There's enough videos on YouTube. There's enough content available on LinkedIn itself on what Sales Navigator can do to transform your business. I wanted to end off with a couple of tips in terms of what you can start doing today. Do work. Do work today. Stop putting it off. Do work today in terms of building out your own personal profile, in terms of building out your company strategy, in terms of understanding your audience and shaping your message for that audience. And if you're feeling overwhelmed with all these social media platforms and tools that you can use, I encourage you to look for tools that help you automate it. There are tools like Hootsuite that will allow you to post on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, depending on where your audience is. But start engaging, start following organizations, start following influencers, start posting with hashtags related to your industry, start engaging with other people's content, start recommending people, endorsing people, start seeking recommendations for your personal brand. And for your organization, start telling the great stories that can only come from your employees. Listen to your employees. Listen to the people who are on the shop floor. What are the fantastic stories they are telling us about our customers, about the things we're doing well, about the reasons why people invest in us as an organization, the reasons why people do business with us. Tell those stories, and when you articulate those stories, it will help your brand come to life. And do it with images, do it with video, do it with your LinkedIn profile. Do it, and do it today. It's time to shine. It's time to shine as an individual. It's time to shine as an organization, showing our values, showing why people should work with us, showing why we develop the best talent and processes and procedures and technology to serve our audience. It's time to shine as Africans, finding business in Ireland. It's time to shine as Irish people, finding business and partners and opportunities in Africa. It's time to shine as a continent. I thank you for your time. I am going to make some materials also available. So if you've got your phone with you, take a quick picture of this page, because you will then get access to playbooks and also access to best practices on how you can build up your organization and rapidly grow your business on LinkedIn. With that, I thank you for your attention, and I hand it back to my generous moderators and hosts.
Stuart, thank you. That's absolutely fantastic. If we just have a little bit of time left, maybe one more question from Tony, who says, how much detail should you add for each job experience, and how much is too much?
Okay, in terms of job experience, here's my pro tip on this. I won't tell you this anywhere else, so listen up carefully. First of all, in terms of job experience, most people will care most about the job you're in right now. So in terms of the amount of content, I look at it as an upside down triangle. Big at the top, small at the bottom. Talk more about what you're currently doing and less about what you used to do. But you can also use the earlier job to stuff in things that you're doing now. So what do I mean? In my current role, I will describe who it is I work for. So you're a small business. Nobody knows your company. Okay, great. So start off by introducing your company, number one. Number two, talk about the impact and the things you're trying to do as an organization. Number three, talk about what your specific role is, what impact you bring, what makes you unique, right? And then lastly, end off with your results. So they can't be too much if you keep it around that guideline. So who we are, what we do, what impact I've personally brought in, and what results you can expect by engaging with me, or what is my call to action for you. And what's more, don't forget, you can attach a video, a PDF, a slide. You can attach a video. Your company has got YouTube videos. Your customers are great. They're big. They're name brands. So if they've given you permission, if there's a YouTube video for them, take it, put it into your work experience, and that will help tell your story.
Brilliant, thank you. I think we've all got a bit of homework to do now. I think you've sold the idea on everything, and like even with the BISA page, call to action is the first thing we're going to do. Get that up there. Going to start following thought leaders and everything. We're going to really get stuck in. So thank you so much for all the fascinating insight you had and all the recommendations. I think it's going to be a lot of opportunities coming in the way of everybody who's watching this. So I just want to mention that we'll post the recording on this on YouTube and LinkedIn, obviously, with some hashtags, generous amount of hashtags as well. So hopefully you'll get some extra views and more people. And I think we have run out of time, but I'd just like to say, Stuart, thank you so much. I was so excited to actually get to see you in action. And it's been absolutely wonderful hosting you here, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much, Stuart.
No, thank you for the opportunity, and for those who participated. I hope you learned something. And like I said, each one teach one. You have stakeholders, you have partners that you do business with. The only way you can grow is by helping other people grow. So share this content with your partners, share this content even with your clients, because they'll learn something from it as well, and they will appreciate you for it. And also, as a direct call to action, I'm challenging everyone who's on this stream to post something about what they learned in this session right now on LinkedIn. I'm even going to smile for 3 seconds. Take a screenshot, take a photograph. Guys, let's do it. They're going to take a photograph, and I want to see what they learned. So I'm just going to go back to my landing page so that maybe that'll be a better backdrop. Okay. Those who are watching, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take that photo. That's it. I want to see you post. What did you learn? What will you teach someone? What will you act on this coming week? What is going to impact your community? And then please think of your customer first. Don't sell. Educate, empower, engage, invigorate, excite. Show them what is possible by working with you.
Brilliant, Stuart. Thanks so much. And I'm excited to see these posts about what people have learned and if they're actually listening. So thank you so much. And hopefully we'll meet again. Maybe when we're in Ireland at some stage.
Yeah, I'd love to host you guys up here, or I'd love to come back home to Africa. So either way, those of you who are looking for business in Ireland, when you do travel up, definitely look me up. And when I come down to South Africa or the rest of Africa, I'm definitely looking to join in 1 or 2 braais.
Great stuff. And thank you everybody for attending. And the next webinar, like I said, is in 2 weeks' time. So I look forward to seeing you then. But for now, good night from Johannesburg and goodbye from me. And thank you for tuning in.
Thanks so much.
Bye, guys and ladies.
Cheers.